This is Pamela Schneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. We got more crime in stores. And it's not surprising that Target is talking about crime because my TikTok feed is full of Targets that have glass case covers over pretty much everything in health and beauty.
Well, they broke out a pretty fantastic number. They expect $1 billion this year in losses due to shrink and theft.
Yeah, a
Like
billion.
$1 billion.
That's a lot to think about. And it's because they expect an additional 500 million in organized retail crime and theft. So that's both of them together. The organized thing, I would really like to see some more information about exactly what is this organized retail crime, because it's not the same thing as, the sweethearting at self-checkouts and just people just going in and stealing things, which happens a lot, especially in health and beauty. And then baby formula and diapers and things like that, the high value things that are easy to tote out. It goes along with what we heard from Walmart not too long ago about pulling out of certain markets, including Portland, Oregon, and Chicago. And the utter chaos that happened in Chicago after they closed those stores was widely reported on social media, people basically trashing the place. But from an industry news point of view, right after that, we got news announcements from Save-A-Lot saying, hey, we're going to invest more in stores in the Chicago area.
And along with that, the social media was critical of Save-A-Lot because it was perceived as an inferior replacement. It's like Walmart's been talking about years for get us some help for this theft, and the city didn't seem to do much. And that's kind of what Target CEO said on that call, is that we need help from government and local community because stores can't do it themselves. They can have a security guard, but they can't run around with thieves with guns in their stores or anything. I mean, that's something the community needs to prioritize. And I mean, if you want your retailers to stick around, you have to give them some help.
Well, and one of the things that I've seen about this retail theft is a conversation that I've seen going on LinkedIn, talking about and showing pictures of Walmart and Target stores with a lot of the merchandise that is high value for being stolen, being put behind cases, and then you have to find an employee to show it to you. This is exactly what Amazon is hoping for. I mean, they're hoping that it's going to drive people away from stores. And Brian Cornell, the CEO of Target, even mentioned this. This isn't a good situation for Target employees. And it's definitely not a good situation for customers because nobody wants to shop like that. If I wanted to go shop at ye old general store where somebody has to stand with a counter and like bring things to me, I want it to be like an amazing experience and not just picking up, rash cream at Target. Yeah.
Yeah, well, nowadays we like to shop with little interaction with personnel anyway, and they prefer that since it's hard to find the labor.
Right.
And it's
So
going backwards, trying to find someone to open something up. You mentioned Amazon. I suppose we won't read anything about this in the Washington Post then, huh?
I have read stuff about it in the Washington Post, whatever.
Because Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post and owns Amazon.
Right. Yeah.
For our viewers, I know you knew that.
But it's just going to push them online. And the other half of the conference call for Target's earnings was one talking about how well grocery is doing and how much they're trying to do more in grocery because it's only 21% of their sales right now, and they really need to work on it, especially in the fresh departments. But also they want to work on online automation, robotics. We have had countless numbers of news releases come across the desk of robots doing stuff for people because they don't have people to do it. And even Wendy's this week had a story where they're having underground robots, kind of like when, the tube that goes through the bank thing and brings you your money. Now it's like a little tiny robot that goes underneath the street to deliver your food. So you have a completely people-free experience when you're ordering from Wendy's. It's interesting and
order
crazy.
online, pull into the parking lot. And when I first read the headline, I was like, what are they going to build pipes to people's houses? No, it's drive up to the restaurant instead of the window. It's like a Sonic. Sonic really should look into that.
Yeah, right. Now that Sonic has pay at all of its stalls, you don't actually like deal with cash with the car hop anymore. It's kind of like it would make sense if your food just went and ended up
Shut up. I know the future.
with your cookies and cream shake. What could go wrong?
Well, now that we're talking about bad news, we also got a lot of viewership on our Florida citrus, well, citrus overall, but the big news was how much down Florida citrus is. And I mean, domestic citrus production down 80% in the last 25 years. That's not a surprise. I guess the only good news for our audience is the most of the losses are in juice citrus because that's what primarily Florida was growing, citrus oranges for the juice market. And I mean, if I think about the generation behind mine, Generation Z, I mean, I'd never see them drinking juice. It's just not something that, I mean, if it's orange, it's this. It's LaCroix citrus, you know. There's your orange flavored citrus. But also,
Right.
one good news on that was the tangerine market is way up, and of course, we've seen that too. I mean, it is a really good product, and they've done an excellent job marketing it.
And all of the best juices that have come out in the, well, my opinion, some of the best juices that have come out have been the premium versions of orange juice, and that has been tangerine juice. So they've got to come up with some kind of way to spin it as premium, and spinning it as premium is adding things like coconut water and green stuff, or making it into tangerine juice rather than just plain old ho-hum orange. Even the plain old ho-hum orange has to be spun in a way that it is some kind of heirloom Valencia, make it sound amazing, even though it's kind of the same thing. They're going to have to, because the only people that I know of that are really committed to the orange juice market are mimosa drinkers, and they don't really care what kind of orange juice is in it usually, and boomers. And the boomers that I know that drink a lot of orange juice are drinking it from the frozen concentrate can in the freezer case. Funny enough, though, about the citrus market, when I was at CPMA, I ran into the Texas Citrus Committee, which has not been represented at CPMA in quite some time. There was an entire delegation of folks from Texas. And I talked to Dante Gagliazzi from the Texas International Produce Association, who was heading up the citrus committee on behalf of Valley Citrus. And he was talking about how they had, kind of pulled back on outreach to Canada and lost a lot of the market share there. And so now they're exploring more opportunities there, because it is a premium product in Canada, and they were passing out these cute little orange stickers. But we have to remind folks out there that domestic citrus is pretty great, and it's plentiful as well. But most of what we've seen in the market and being successful is marketed as premium, as heirloom, as vintage, as a regional thing. If you think about all the California citrus that we've seen come out recently, your interview with Fruit World not so long ago, talking about the one that they were marketing with the leaves on as a premium product. Citrus is repackaging itself because it's not selling like hotcakes like it was during the pandemic. Remember the weekly orange report? How much were oranges over year over year?
Yeah, they were outrageous. It was like,
part of them is lack of.
Where are we even coming up with that many oranges?
They weren't going abroad. It was the export market was not going at the time. So we were consuming them domestically. So there is an availability for demand for citrus in the US. And so we can keep it around, but maybe just not frozen concentrate in a can in the freezer. And in not surprising news, I have been covering Blue Apron ever since it launched, ever since it was just my itty bitty babies and I were cooking Blue Apron meals in our kitchen back when it was booming, back when you could not open a product from a children's clothing company without getting a card for 10 free Blue Apron meals. I kind of think they're maybe circling the drain, because they just announced that they are selling their infrastructure. So all of the things that they're using to make these meal kits to the company that makes heat and eat meals for them and for a lot of retailers out there. So basically they're going into private label.
Yeah. I mean, we did kind of see this coming because we tried it and you're like, man, there's a lot of packaging. It's hard to get the portions right. The delivery was expensive. Delivery is only going up. Packaging's going up. Yeah, I mean the ready to eat does seem like a little bit more of a value to a consumer. It just it was tough to see the path to profitability the way it was early on.
Yeah, and and they were one of the pioneers, and they were also one of the ones that was widely criticized for how much they were spending on customer acquisition without a lot of customer retention. So they kept spending more and more and more money trying to get people to try them, and then they just couldn't get them to keep them. I know that there are successful meal kit companies out there. HelloFresh is one of them. They are wildly popular in Europe. They're based in Germany, actually. And my friend who lives in southern Bavaria, she eats HelloFresh once or twice a week. It's just really convenient for their family because they don't have access to a lot of groceries. All they've got is like Edeka and Lidl and Aldi. So those are kind of limited assortment or premium brands. And so she really likes it. I know that Kroger just celebrated Home Chef, but Home Chef is a different concept for Kroger because it is more tied to that retail aspect of it and less to the direct to consumer. So it's interesting, and we'll see how long it takes before Blue Apron is completely out of the market.
Yeah, I mean, population density is always a bigger concern in the United States compared to Europe.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't necessarily work in the country just because of logistics. And although the delivery folks are getting a lot better at getting things across a lot of distance, it's still not cheap or free. Am I pixely weird to you?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's coming through on the recording or not.
Okay. Anyway, well, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.
And I will enjoy my Mandarin now.
Well, I have crafted in Texas citrus.
Yeah, but a real one.
I also have Nate, the produce champion. Yeah. All right.